Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video I wanted to talk about the caching process, which is very important to prep the data for rendering. And what I use is basically a Limbic workflow, and what this will allow me to do is efficiently cache and render the geometry. Let me change this to flat shaded. And what I have here is the geometry, and I have a material attribute. You can see it has 15 unique strings, and what this is it's a string attribute, and I went over each block of objects and I gave them a material name. So this is called bricks railing, concrete front level 1, concrete top big, windows top base, things like that, and just is one value that I can use to separate the geometry later. So this name differently, this has a name, this has a name, this has a name, and so on and so forth. And this is something I've done on all of them. So here I have metal, I have interior, I believe, and wood, and then so I have glass and wood in this example. And what this allows us to do is once we cache it, once we use a ROP output, Limbic ROP output, and cache it, we can tell it by default. It looks like this. So if we go, Limbic ROP output. So here you see it has no option set for building hierarchy, and here I'm setting it to build hierarchy from attribute, and I give it this attribute. What this allows me to do later is if I put down in a Limbic node and load this this cache. It's a bit heavy, so let's see. Okay, so this is the geometry, and if I go under selection, click on object path, you see I have all the objects, and I can separate. I can say, okay, I want to read this only. So this is the concrete top. And the good thing is, if I play through this, look, this file is very heavy, but right now it's only reading that specific set of data. It's not touching anything else in the data, and that's why Limbic is very efficient, because we can do this, and we can efficiently cache geometry. And this is when we get to Arnold, we're not doing any translation. It's gonna read this at render time, so it's gonna be much faster to load this, and it will instantly show up at the render. Now before I cache this, I have few things I need to prep, and the first one is an inside and attribute. And what this allows me to do is I can separate the inside faces versus the outside, and this is a primitive attribute. So basically it's set to inside 0 to all of them, and then on the inside faces, which I have a group for, it's set to 1. And this is gonna this switch will allow me to toggle shading later. And then I group delete everything. So here I delete all the groups, I delete the main name attribute I don't need, and then I create 3 floats. Now I don't have to do this, please ignore, we don't have to do this. I run a clean on the geometry with the default settings, make sure that I don't have any issues, and then a rest attribute. It's very important to add a rest attribute. We're gonna need that later if we're doing a lot of complex shading. If we want noise to stick, if we want gradient to stick, if we want to add dirt or anything like that, it's very important to use to have a rest attribute that sticks to the geometry. So that we do that here, and basically I create a inside attribute at the prim level, and then a rest attribute, and I delete everything else. That's all I care about. And then I plug this through the transform piece, which will give me the velocity and the new position, and then I write out that as an Limbic file, and that's it. Now depends on how much transformation you're doing, how heavy the geometry is. It can be quite slow to write, and Limbic needs the entire sequence to be written into one file. And what it does is, if we set the settings properly, proper, it will efficiently write the geometry once and only store the attributes that changes after that. In our case, we have what we call a transform geo. There is no deformation in the geo itself. So what we do is we tell Alembic that, hey, we're writing a transform geo only cache, and don't write the geometry every frame. So what it does, if we go here under geometry, we change this to pack transform from deform to transform geo, Alembic will write the geometry on the first frame and then only the attribute that changes. And this way it's going to be very, very, very efficient with data. And that's it. We hit save to cache, and then I did this for all the other groups. So it really, there's no right or wrong. It's up to you on how you want to cache this data. Pardon me. And here I have the wood upres. I have the roof cached into a separate file with this section with the wood. So, and then what else? And then the ground. And let's see what else. This is the interior faces. I'm going to skip that because it's slow. And then the glass geometry. And here for the glass, I did something. But I will talk about this because it's next week when we start doing rendering, because it's quick to write this out if we have to recache it again. And that's pretty much it for all the 8 weeks now. I think we've reached the point where we've covered plenty of stuff.